Om. 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 Anjanatimirandasya Jananjana Salakaya Sakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ye Gurudev, and welcome to this Satsang. And today I want to talk about the Bhagavad Gita, or I will actually read something from the Bhagavad Gita, and then we can discuss and talk a little bit about it. So Bhagavad Gita is this beautiful book here by Paramahamsa Vishwananda. So the Gita is life itself, so we can really understand life, we can understand ourselves by reading the Gita. We have through the years many teachers, scholars and different masters who have done their own translation of this beautiful song. Actually, this is not a book, it's actually Krishna who is singing to Arjuna and explaining through different chapters about how he can handle certain situations. So both me and Lalita, we have gone through several Gitas, and I can by far say that when you have your own master's description of what's really going on in this book, it's something else. It brings some extra aliveness and understanding of the Gita itself. And when Krishna is explaining to Arjuna, it is like Krishna is talking to us. He's actually talking to you and me while we're going through this book. And even if Paramahamsa Vishwananda is my personal master, I highly recommend this version because he is very up to date in the way of explaining things. Because there are verses in this book and he gives his explanation about what Krishna really tells Arjuna. Okay, and many of the Gitas that I've been reading, there's a lot, so we lose the interest, right? When we read something, we want something to be easy and catchy, like something that we can really soak in right away. So I will read from it so you can have an experience of some of the verses from the book. So let's see what says here. Okay, so Lalita will be sharing one verse a day the coming 10 days. So this was a cool sync. We are not together now, like in the same place. I am in Sweden and she is in Spain, and we both catched up on the Gita at the same time. So yeah, you can follow her page if you're not doing it, if you're interested in going deeper with the Bhagavad Gita. And I think she will be used the cards, because we have this card. People today have this tarot cards, right? But we have the Gita in that form with beautiful images with the verses. So I think that is where she will do, and it can really uplift you. It can really connect you with God and with yourself, and to understand life deeper. So let me see where we end up here today and where I can start to read something. So I will go to the chapter 3, where he is talking about karma yoga. Okay, so this is verses 17 to 26. Okay, so he's saying, but the person who delights in the self, who is satisfied with the self, who rejoices in the self, for him there is nothing left to achieve. For such a person there is nothing to gain from renouncing or performing action, nor is he dependent on any other being. Therefore, always perform that work which ought to be done without attachment. For one who acts without attachment attains the supreme. So, as we can see here clearly, is when we find out who we are, right? When we find out who we are, the interest for material objects or gaining something in this material world disappears. Because when we are tuning into the karma yoga, we are doing selfless action, we not any attachment, and we see everything as God. Everything we do we see as service to God, right? So this creates a non-attached situation, because how we act today in this world is that we do something, right? And we act and we are attached to the body, we are attached to the mind, we are attached to our ego. And this makes us just strive for more all the time, right? We are searching for more and more and more in this material nature, and this can never fulfill us. But once we have realized who we are, the fulfillment will come, and we will experience that there is nothing more to achieve, because we have achieved ourselves. We have achieved the connection with the Atma. Then of course there is the connection with the Atma and God itself, which is called God realization. But first of all, we have to experience who we are and attain that state where we are in full contact with ourselves. So there is something from the verse 25. Arjuna, just as the ignorant act with attachment to their work, so should the wise act without any attachment, thinking only for the welfare of the world. The wise should not disturb the minds of the ignorant who are attached to work. Instead, by performing work with devotion, one should inspire others to do likewise. So, what we do today is very often we judge, right? And we want to change. Today I can see the culture of the spiritual field. We call ourselves awake, right? And those who are not awake, they are asleep, and we are trying to wake up those who are sleeping, right? But we should let everyone be, everyone should be accepted as how they are, because once in a while you are also asleep, right? Yesterday we have some interesting experience, and I started to talk about incarnation, because we can see in many people they have a very aggressive nature, right? They are still very animalistic, and this is because the last incarnation of the soul were closer to the animals, so they have not really going through this process of purifying that karma of the animal instincts. So there's still a lot of aggression, there's still a lot of violence, still a lot of like want to eat meat and all these things. So this is because of the animal nature that is still attached to the being that is incarnated. So to go deeper into this, instead of like trying to force someone to do or blame someone or like trying to change, we should just do our duty, like do our work of being in devotion, like really really do everything we do with action of to God, right? And it is like we say when we are like raising children, they are watching what you do, not what you say, right? And it's the same thing here. If we act with a good manner, if we act in devotion, if we act like everything is being done for God, everything is being done without attachment, people will automatically start to follow that, because they see that this is a nice way of living. And when they see people who live like this, they see like, wow, those people are happy, those people are joyful, those people are not like in any suffer, right? Because attachment creates suffering. When we become attached to something, then there will become suffering of it, right? Because as soon as we separate from that, what we have created attachment to, the mind and the ego doesn't want to lose the grip of it, right? And we are like really, really stuck in this, and this creates suffering. Because we have to understand that the Atma is free. It is the mind and the ego which creates this attachment to things. And the more attached we are, we can be attached to our own ego, we can be attached to things, to situations, And the more attached we are there, the more we are stuck. Like it's like a prison, right? We are attached to our own ego. It's so hard for us to let go of certain ideas that we have. I will talk about this a little bit. I saw on the internet that it was some people who talked about the moon, right? Like the moon doesn't exist. And this creates a lot of turbulence. So this is not a question about if it exists or not. This is not for me to talk about. But the attachment that people have to the idea, like the idea we have that there is a moon up there and it exists, right? And if someone talks about that it doesn't exist, it creates some kind of tension, because people have this certain attachment and ideas that the moon is there, right? This is a great example of it. And it can be anything that you have been going through and are really, really believing in, and someone is coming to telling you like this is not true, right? It creates some tension inside of you, right? And this is the attachment that you have to that. So this has to go, because if these are gone, you're free. But if there are tension to it, it means that you still have things to let go of. So Arjuna just as the ignorant act with attachment to their work. So this means that when we are ignorant, we cannot see that we are attached to certain things, because this is the ignorance from the mind, right? And when we become more in contact with who we are, we can see like we are really attached to things, and we start to work with that to free ourselves. So should the wise act without any attachment, thinking only for the welfare of the world. So this is what is happening also when we let go of the ego. We start to think about how can we serve this planet, how can we serve other people, right? Because when we are stuck in this ignorance, we are a lot in this I. It's about me, it's about my ego and what is best for me. But when we drop this, we can go into more of what is best for the world? How can I serve anyone today? And when you become wise, you become less attached. And this is what he says here, like when we become less attached, we go more into the welfare of the world. We think more in a bigger picture, like if I do this thought, if I do this action, how will this react to my environment? How will this react to the world itself? Because everything that we do, everything that we think has an impact on the world. So if we all start to think more in a positive manner and start to just observe, because when we are in contact with the great observer, we are more clear. There is no mind there. We are beyond the mind. Because what we can see here is the mind makes you think, right? You have thoughts in your mind. But if you go beyond the mind and you are in your observation state, then you don't have to go into those thoughts. You can easily slip out and don't become negative. Don't judge and don't do any harm, because thoughts are very harmful as well. They are harmful to yourself and they can also be harmful to others. And what we think, we create. So whatever we think about will become a part of your life. So if we all can start to, think more positively against ourselves, against Mother Nature, against the people around us, and not be so judgmental, because we are very easy to judge others, right? Oh, they are acting like this, they are not good, please go away, or things like this. Instead of sending those people love. But this is a lack of understanding. We judge because of our own ego and ignorance. But if we have full understanding about life, if we have full understanding of who we are, we will not judge, right? We can see like, okay, you don't judge small children, right? You see like they are children. They are acting in a certain way because they don't have this knowledge yet about being an adult, for example. So we don't judge the children, and we should not judge other people as well that has not come to that place within themselves that they live from love. So this is it for today. If we can start to practice a little bit more karma yoga, because this is the 3rd chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna is explaining karma yoga to Arjuna. See everything as God. Even the darkest hour in your mind is God. If you can connect more with the observer within yourself, just become more humble, then you can start to really come closer to who you are, and do every action with any attachment to it. Just serve everybody. Serve your children, serve your parents, your friends, your neighbor, the person you meet in the street. Just be at service for everyone, and this will awaken something within your heart, and it will connect you closer to God and of course the Atma within yourself. So thank you so much for listening. I will be back another day and talk more about the Bhagavad Gita. I love going deep into it. And let's see, it's the key of awareness. Yes, so thank you everyone for listening. I'll see you guys soon again. And if you like what's inside this video, please share it so we can open up for more souls in this world. Okay, thank you. Jai Gurudev.